silence carries a message long before words ever appear. When life shifts, when energy moves, when the air around you feels heavier or clearer than usual, it is not coincidence. It is a signal, a quiet knock on the inner door, asking you to pay attention. These coming days, the 28th and 29th of November, carry that kind of signal, not a threat, not a fear, a preparation, a moment that asks you to awaken the part of yourself that knows, that listens, that senses before the mind speaks. I am Heng, and in this teaching, you will understand why certain moments in time seem to press against your spirit. You will learn how warnings appear not from outside, but from within. You will learn how the body speaks, how the mind reveals its hidden turbulence, and how the spirit guides you long before events unfold. Many people overlook these signs. They think a warning must be loud, dramatic, or supernatural. But the truth is quieter. It shows up as tension in the chest, an unexpected pause, a surge of clarity, or a repeating message you can't explain. Stay with me until the end, because each minute will take you deeper into principles rarely spoken about. Principles from Shaolin tradition that reveal how to sharpen awareness, strengthen intuition, and prepare your inner world for transitions. You will hear lesser-known teachings about Shen, Yi, and the subtle layers of energy that guide your path. And by the time this message ends, you will understand why readiness is not physical but spiritual, not about waiting but about aligning. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If these teachings speak to you, subscribe and walk this path with us. Stillness reveals truths that movement often hides. When you pause long enough to feel the space within yourself, you begin to understand a lesson at the heart of Shaolin teaching. Nothing inside you stands alone. The body, the mind, and the spirit are not three separate paths. They are one current flowing through different forms. From the outside, people see Shaolin as physical strength, punches, stances, endurance. But that is only a doorway. The real training happens in the silence between breaths, in the discipline of thought, in the purity of intention. Every movement begins as an idea. Every idea begins as energy, and every energy leaves an imprint on the body. This is why harmony is necessary. If the body is restless while the mind is scattered, the spirit cannot settle. If the spirit is weak while the body is strong, the balance collapses. As I teach my students, the body is the earth, the mind is the sky, and the spirit is the space in between. When these elements recognize each other, you no longer feel divided. You no longer fight against yourself. You move as a whole being. When life sends what we call a warning, it rarely comes in the form people expect. It is not lightning in the sky. It is not a loud voice. It is a shift in your internal alignment. Your body grows tense. Your breath changes. Your thoughts grow sharper or heavier. Your spirit becomes alert. This is life asking you to prepare your entire self. These days ahead, they are not about fear. They are not about superstition. They are a reminder that readiness cannot be partial. Physical preparation without mental clarity is fragile. Mental strength without spiritual grounding is unstable. True mastery appears only when all three rise together. And when they rise together, you meet any moment with steadiness, awareness, and inner peace. There is a moment in every person's journey when they realize that the loudest forces shaping their life are not the events happening around them, but the quiet movements happening inside. Thoughts that appear without invitation. Emotions that rise from old memories. Patterns that repeat themselves even when you try to walk a new path. These unseen layers influence choices, reactions, and the direction of your life far more than the external world ever does. In the Shaolin tradition, the first step toward mastery is learning to witness these inner movements without running from them. This is mindfulness in its truest form, not simply closing your eyes or breathing slowly, but watching your inner landscape as it truly is. You notice a thought as it appears. You feel an emotion as it stirs in your chest. You observe a reaction beginning to form in your body long before action follows. And you do all of this without judgment, without labeling anything as good or bad. This practice is like standing at the edge of a lake and seeing your reflection clearly for the first time. The ripples are still there, but you no longer mistake them for who you are. You begin to recognize which thoughts belong to old wounds, which emotions echo past experiences, which reactions come from fear rather than truth. With awareness comes a quiet moment of power, the moment where you choose. You decide what to keep, because it supports your growth. You decide what to release, because it weighs you down. This is where transformation begins. Not in force, not in pressure, but in clear seeing. When you observe yourself with honesty and calmness, you break the chains of unconscious living. You step out of the old patterns that once controlled you, and you begin walking the path of inner discipline where every step is guided by awareness rather than habit. There comes a time when a person understands that motivation is a gentle visitor. It arrives when the path feels easy, when the air is light, when the mind is already willing. But discipline is different. Discipline stays when motivation leaves. It stands beside you in the early hours when your body feels heavy, in the difficult seasons when your emotions want to retreat, in the moments when your excuses sound almost convincing. In the ancient traditions, discipline is not seen as punishment. It is a form of inner respect, a promise you make to yourself and keep, even when your feelings try to negotiate. Meditation, movement, self-reflection, these practices are not always comfortable. Some days the mind refuses to settle. Some days the body resists. Some days your thoughts feel cloudy or scattered, yet the path asks you to return anyway. There is a story told among practitioners. A candle in the wind does not survive because it burns the brightest, but because it burns with steadiness. Your practice works the same way. Small efforts repeated daily become stronger than rare moments of intense effort. The consistency shapes you quietly, the way water shapes stone, slowly, patiently, without forcing. When you continue your practice on the days you feel uninspired, something begins to change. Your mind learns that it can follow intention rather than mood. Your body learns that it can move even when not in the perfect state. Your spirit learns that it does not break under discomfort. This is how resilience is built, not through grand actions, but through faithful repetition. Over time, these steady actions carve a different kind of strength inside you, a strength that doesn't rise and fall with emotion, a strength that becomes character. And when your character becomes stronger than your mood, your path becomes clear, stable, and unshakable. There is a rhythm woven into all of life. The tides rise and fall. Day becomes night. Breath enters and leaves. Strength expands and then softens. In the Shaolin way, this rhythm is more than nature's pattern. It is a mirror of how a human being must learn to live. Inner peace does not appear from constant effort or constant retreat. It appears when opposites learn to coexist. Action with rest, focus with flow, discipline with ease. Many people push themselves endlessly, believing that constant movement is proof of strength. Others avoid discomfort, believing that rest alone will bring clarity. But true mastery lies between these extremes. It is the wisdom of knowing when to step forward and when to step back, when to go deeper and when to breathe, when to hold firm and when to release. Without this balance, even the strongest person becomes burned out, and even the calmest person becomes stagnant. There is an old teaching that says, a bow kept always drawn soon loses its power. The same is true for the human spirit. Too much pressure bends it. Too much rest weakens it. Harmony is the key. In this light, the message carried by the days ahead, the 28th and 29th of November, may not be a warning of danger, but a reminder to tune your inner rhythms. If you have been pushing too hard, life may be asking you to soften. If you have been slowing down too much, life may be calling you to rise again. Balance is not found by accident. It is created by listening deeply to your own energy. When your actions and your rest support each other, your path becomes smooth. When your focus and your flow move together, your spirit becomes light. In this harmony, you find a strength that does not strain, a strength that endures. There is a quiet truth learned on the path of inner cultivation. The greatest battles are not fought against others, but against the illusions within oneself. The ego whispers for recognition, control, and superiority. It wants to be right, to be seen, to stand above. Yet in the Shaolin tradition, the highest strength is found in humility, the ability to stand firm without arrogance, to act without seeking reward, to give without expecting return. Non-attachment does not mean coldness or indifference. It means moving through life without clinging to status, outcomes, or the shifting opinions of the world. It means understanding that everything changes, and holding anything too tightly only creates suffering. Compassion, too, is not softness. It is clarity of heart. It allows you to see others without judgment and yourself without harshness. True mastery grows from these qualities, not from dominance or victory. In ancient teachings, the strongest warrior was never the one who conquered the most, but the one who conquered himself. Anger, envy, pride, the hunger for validation, these are the shadows that cloud the mind and blur perception. Personal mastery begins when you recognize these shadows and choose not to serve them. Through humility, you dissolve the need to compete with the world. Through compassion, you soften the sharp edges of your inner landscape. When life sends a warning, humility becomes even more essential. A humble mind listens. A compassionate heart remains steady. Ego reacts in fear or frustration, but humility observes with clear awareness. In moments of uncertainty, this calm state allows you to respond wisely rather than impulsively. You meet whatever comes not with panic, but with grounded presence. To transcend ego is to walk lightly. To release attachment is to move freely, and in this freedom you find a strength that is both gentle and unbreakable, the strength of a spirit aligned with truth. There is wisdom in the way the body moves, a language older than thought. Long before words formed, the body knew how to express tension, release, strength, and surrender. In many ancient traditions, the body is not seen as separate from the mind or spirit. It is the doorway through which inner alignment becomes real. Movement is not only physical, it is energetic. Each gesture, each breath, each shift carries meaning. Practices like Qigong, martial arts, or even simple mindful walking awaken this understanding. When you raise your arms with awareness, you lift more than muscle, you lift energy. When you sink into a stance, you root your presence into the earth. When you breathe deeply into your belly, you quiet the storms of the mind. These are not symbolic ideas, they are lived experiences felt in the pulse, in the breath, in the quiet rise of clarity within. People often believe they must fix their mind first before the body can follow, but many times the path works in the opposite direction. When the body softens, the mind softens. When breath flows freely, thoughts loosen. When tension dissolves from the muscles, old emotions begin to unwind. The body becomes a gateway, a channel through which stagnant energy moves and hidden clarity rises. There is a moment in training when a simple movement suddenly feels different. A punch becomes lighter, yet more powerful. A stance becomes steadier. A breath becomes deeper. This shift is not physical strength alone, it is alignment. The mind, the body, and the spirit begin to move as one. By using the body as an anchor, you return to the present. You ground yourself when emotions feel overwhelming. You stabilize your inner world when thoughts become scattered. Through each mindful movement, you shape your energy and reshape your state of being. The body, once understood, becomes not just a vessel, but a guide. Through it you find clarity. Through it you find balance. Through it you return to yourself. Fear often arrives without knocking. A sudden thought, a rising doubt, the unease that creeps into the chest. These are the subtle warnings of life. Many respond with tension, with resistance, or with frantic action. But in the Shaolin way, fear is not the enemy. It is a signal, a teacher, a moment to practice balance and clarity. The monk mindset does not deny fear. It observes it, acknowledges it, and moves through it with steady presence. In the training halls of the ancients, students learned early that storms are inevitable, in the sky and in the mind. The body is trained not just for strength, but for steadiness. The breath becomes a tether, the stance a foundation. When thoughts spiral or emotions surge, a calm, aligned body anchors the mind. When the mind becomes clear, the heart can open without panic. Strength is found in the union of the two, in the harmony that allows action without chaos. Life's warnings, the ones that stir unease, uncertainty, or even dread, are often the forge of inner resilience. Hardship shapes character like fire shapes steel. Yet it is not the fire alone that strengthens, it is the response that matters. Through discipline, you choose steadiness over reactivity. Through awareness, you see clearly what is real and what is projection. Through acceptance, you allow what is without surrendering your inner balance. The true mastery of fear is subtle. It is not loud heroism. It is a quiet commitment to remain present when the ground shifts. It is the knowledge that uncertainty cannot harm the rooted mind and aligned body. When storms rage externally, the inner world remains firm, measured, and awake. In this steadiness, fear loses its power, and clarity rises to guide the next step. There is a subtle weight that follows most people through life. The need to be seen, to be approved, to earn recognition from others. It hides behind ambition, behind social expectations, behind fleeting accomplishments. Yet the path of mastery teaches a quiet truth. Peace and power do not come from the eyes of the world. They come from living in alignment with one's own inner compass, from honoring the rhythm of your own heart and the clarity of your own mind. When a person learns to turn inward, they discover a guidance that never wavers. It does not depend on applause, validation, or comparison. It whispers in moments of stillness, in the subtle impulses that arise when distractions fade. Following this guidance requires courage, for it often leads away from comfort, away from the familiar voices of approval. Yet it is here, in this alignment, that true resilience, clarity, and fulfillment are found. Ask yourself, whose life are you living? Are your choices shaped by fear of judgment, by desire for praise, by the shifting tides of public opinion? Or are they shaped by the quiet truth within you, the compass that knows your path even when it is unseen? Reflection alone is not enough. Action must follow. Every day offers a choice to honor the self over the expectation of others, to act with integrity, to listen more deeply to the inner voice than to the noise of the crowd. The coming days, like all moments of alert, are an invitation to recenter. They remind you to return to your inner purpose, to let it guide your steps, to let it shape your thoughts and your energy. When you move in harmony with this truth, life loses the weight of external pressures. You gain the freedom to act with clarity, to live with presence, and to walk a path illuminated not by applause, but by the steady light of your own awareness. Time has a way of slipping through unnoticed. The past lingers only as memory, and the future exists only as possibility. Yet life, in its quiet insistence, offers one constant: this moment, here and now. In the traditions of Shaolin and the teachings of the ancients, true awakening begins not in regret or anticipation, but in full presence, in the ability to meet each breath, each thought, each sensation with awareness. The coming days, the 28th and 29th of November, may carry significance, yet they are only markers along a larger path. Every day is a threshold, every moment an opportunity to practice mindfulness, to embody discipline, and to cultivate balance. Waiting for a specific date to awaken is a delay of your own power. Real readiness emerges when the mind is calm, when attention is alert, when the heart remains open to whatever arises. To embrace the present is to accept life as it flows, without resistance or clinging. It is to move with intention while remaining unattached to outcomes. Each action, each decision, becomes an exercise in alignment, a training ground for inner mastery. Even the smallest choices, made with full awareness, ripple outward in ways that shape character, strengthen discipline, and refine the spirit. In stillness, you recognize the patterns that bind you. In motion, you release them. In breath, you anchor yourself in clarity. The present is not simply a point between past and future. It is the foundation upon which all growth, all insight, all power rests. When you live fully here, readiness is no longer about preparation for what may come. It is a natural state, a steady, alert, and balanced presence that meets each moment with calm strength, clear vision, and the quiet confidence of a mind aligned with life itself. Life's messages are rarely what they first appear to be. This warning is not meant to stir fear, but to awaken awareness, to guide you inward. The true practice of readiness begins inside, in the stillness of your mind, the steadiness of your body, and the clarity of your heart. When you cultivate mindfulness, discipline, humility, and balance, you align with a strength that no external circumstance can shake. Take these lessons into your daily life. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Act with intention even when it feels difficult, and return to your inner purpose whenever distractions or fear arise. Let each day become a practice of presence, a quiet cultivation of energy and clarity. In this way, challenges transform into opportunities for growth, and each moment becomes a step toward deeper mastery of self. May you walk forward with calm awareness, inner balance, and the quiet confidence that comes from aligning with your truest self. If this teaching resonates, join our community of seekers by liking this video and subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire, where ancient wisdom meets the path of modern mastery.